Hey guys, welcome back. So just a couple days ago, I actually got done building our new gaming PC. Finally got most of the parts that I needed. We're going with the 5800X3D, and we paired that with the MSI MPG-X570. It was like a max Wi-Fi or something, even though I don't use the Wi-Fi. Then I kind of took a risk. The risk I took was I bought some weird AI Go brand of air cooling. It's a 360 rad, but it's the cheapest one I can find. It's at 60 bucks. It's got rainbow stuff all over it, which I'm not quite a fan of, but other than that, it was actually pretty good. The backplate on it is pretty bad, I would say. I wouldn't try to like find out, you know. They have these little thumb tacks for the backplate because it's one of those coolers that kind of they made it to work with everything, and it probably should just work with the normal stuff, like, you know, AM5, AM4, you know, stuff like that. But it's like, it goes all the way back to AM3. And its backplate definitely shows that. It's got a lot of crazy nonsense going on for it. Yeah, so kind of rough on that. Everything else pretty good. RAM was good. We got the Redline Mushkin. I think I'm saying that right. Redline Mushkin 3600 DDR4 64 gig kit, 200 bucks. I mean, if I built this back in like 2019, 2018, it'd be like what, 450 or something crazy like that. I mean, you don't need 64 gig. I'm just having it because this is a single PC streaming setup and like video editing, all that kind of stuff. So my use case is a little bit different, but for gaming, no, you don't need the 64 gigs. The graphics card, we're still using the GTX 1650 Super because I need to kind of save up to get something a little bit better than that, but it's gonna get us by at 1080p medium settings for most of the stuff that we play and stream. So, you know, it is what it is. And I'm actually glad in this case I didn't upgrade, because I get to compare it directly against, well, I say in quotation, directly against my old build. I was rocking the i7 2700K like a year or two ago. Yeah, well, it was like a year ago now. And it had the same, well, almost the same specs, but the same GPU and everything. And I do have access to the same games, so I decided to kind of take it for a spin. I know I couldn't do, you know, apples to apples because I don't have the hardware anymore, literally. But, you know, in quotations, we can benchmark it against itself. I don't even know what the hell drivers I even had back then. So we're using the current drivers for that gameplay. So just keep grain of salt, that like mountain of salt, that footage. But it does show something very prominent that I'm gonna deal with. Well, I can't deal with. AMD has to somehow figure it out in whatever new iterations of the X3D chip that they come out with. So yeah, the X3D I got for like 300 bucks on Amazon. Everything I bought off Amazon. I got a 𝗕𝗂𝘀 power supply. I think it's 750 watts, fully modular, stuff like that. Pretty good on that. All in all, oh yeah, the case. I didn't talk about the case. I'm using the using the AL600 case. It's pretty, like, I guess generic is the word for it. Like, it's just a box. It's a mid tower. It's a box. It has mesh, like triple fan at the front. It's got like a little shroud to kind of hide the power supply and everything. Pretty bare bones, but I liked it. I like the features on it. It has like a magnetic side panel that you can kind of just pull off whenever you want. It's got magnetic, well, you're probably gonna see all this in the video, but magnetic dust filters, which I've never seen that before. It's new to me. I'm like a caveman, basically. This is my second PC that I've built. So really cool stuff. What I didn't like, I don't know when cases started doing this, but the PCIe slots at the back of the case, you had to like twist it, well, not twist it, you had to like yank it out. Like you literally decouple it, like break it off from the case. I didn't like that. I like the old way where you just like unscrew it and then you can kind of like put it somewhere for later if you want to put it back. I don't like ripping stuff out. That is, yeah, you know, not kind of my style on that. But after we built the PC, I made a bit of a, so the paste that I use, I didn't use any paste. I decided to go a little bit wild on this one and this is my first time using a graphite pad. It's the 𝙬𝙪𝙧𝙚 conducted knot, I think is what it's called. It's like a little square little sheet. It's like a little carbon graphite pad that you put on your CPU, and then you put the cooler on there, and that's it. You just leave it. And I got the 38 by 38. If you're using AMD, like AM4, I don't know if it works on AM5, but AM4 38 by 38 is fine. I didn't have to do any like cutting or anything. I just put it on there, put it on the cooler, strap it on, you're good to go. I did make a bit of a whoops in my hustle and bustle building the computer. Took about like 8 hours altogether. I forgot to fully screw in the cooler, like the mount. So when I booted up, and I'm glad I always do this, I booted right into the BIOS, like straight, like after I got the, you know, BIOS installed, I did like did something else I never really do. I did like the USB BIOS flash. You can do it like offline. You just need to make sure that the board has power. You just plug it into the back and then hit BIOS flash, and it just does it if you have the USB plugged into that port. I never did that before. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, so I went into the BIOS when I got everything put together, and it showed 90C, and this was at idle. I immediately like hard cut the power, hard shut it off. I was like, no, that's something ain't right. So yeah, I just had to go in and just tighten all the screws, make sure like they're hand tight, and then everything's fine. The idle temps were like around like 38C, which is that's about where it should be, since I do live in Florida, so it is ambient temperature is like always like pretty humid and pretty hot. So 80C is not bad, or not 80C. 38C at idle is not bad. That's pretty good. And then from there, I had to go in and do the usual tweaks. I had to go and I enabled XMP, you know, put my fan curves on for the case and the cooler and the AIO, whatever. Didn't really change too much about the fan curve that the case comes with. Like by default, it's not even that bad. It's fine. It's like all the fans are quiet, like really quiet. Even the cheapo 360 rad that I have, the fans are like pretty good and pretty quiet. Like with headphones, you would not be able to hear anything at all, and you can like barely hear it even like without it. It's not bad. But yeah, after I did all the tweaks, you know, for the RAM, I enabled XMP. I left it there for the moment. We'll get back to that in a minute. I went to the CPU because since I got an MSI board, I have access to their like weird combo strike thing that they do for the AM4s. So basically, the combo strike is a way for, I think it works on every AMD AM4 CPU, but it's really good for the 3D chip because 3D chip can't overclock. Like, well, in quotations, overclock. So the combo strike, all it does is it kind of like tweaks the curves and lowers the power draw, like the wattage, and like straightens out the like the up and down like frequency and everything. It like smooths that out. So like we run it at stock, it's like it like boosts up to like what, like 4200 megahertz, but it's like it goes up and down, up and down, up and down as you're playing games. I did combo strike 3. Now you might not be able to do 3. I don't know if all CPUs can do 3, but I just did 3 out of the box, and it like across the board, across like all the cores, it pretty much locked it at 450. Like when I played games, like it wasn't going up and down. It would dip to I think I saw 3560 for like a second, but then it would like go back up to like quote locked megahertz, because Ryzen's do like to have a locked megahertz. They don't like to go up and down. It makes the gameplay pretty janky. So combo strike, pretty good MSI. I do like combo strike. Also, first time I'm using an MSI BIOS. I never had this motherboard. I've done ROG Crosshair. I've done the Tough Gaming. And then this, yeah, MSI. Because the first PC, I guess I kind of done Gigabyte, but it was like a low-end Gigabyte on the last PC that I had with the Intel 10100, but that's getting off topic. But yeah, MSI, pretty cool. Yeah, so after combo strike, I then went and set the core voltage to a negative offset, and I did 0.0500. So I dialed the voltage back a little bit, just a little bit. Combo strike already kind of does that. It keeps the CPU in check, like keeps everything down. but I wanted to be, just my little bit of a tweak on my own. Then, after I did all that, the CPU is done in my book. I didn't touch anything else, except the Infinity Fabric. I brought the Infinity Fabric up to 1900 megahertz, which at the current XMP profile of the memory, it would technically decouple it, but I got a plan for that. I bumped the voltage of the memory to 1.42, and then bumped the memory clock speed to 3800, which would recouple it at 1900. So now everything is all 1-to-1, and that's it. I didn't change the I didn't bump the memory timings or any of that stuff. I just hit go, it reset, and then here I am. I've been playing for a couple days. No blue screens, no crashes, like out of the like 5 or 6 clicks, boom, you're off to gaming. Now I did fiddle around with my 12700K a lot more than this, like getting locked. I think my P cores were at 5.0, my E cores were at 4.0. I locked that up, kind of messing around with the fan speeds on everything. So I did a lot more tinkering to the Intel stuff, and I had to run like Windows 11. Well, I think it's been like decided by pretty much everybody that Windows 11, you can pretty much run your Intel CPUs on Windows 10 as well. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. They just kind of, all the media outlets kind of hyped up Windows 11 so much, and you needed to use it with Alder Lake and all that kind of stuff. But most people, most of the gamers, they actually just turn off the E cores, man. I mean, I don't know. I left them on for my stuff, but they kind of just yank them off. So I don't know. Windows 11 might be a bit of a done deal, but that's getting off topic. Overall, I did like the AMD situation, like out of the box, like after I put it together, like straightforward into the BIOS, no fuss, everything works. But I did kind of know what I was doing beforehand, because my previous CPU was the 3600X, and then the CPU before that was the first 1800X from Ryzen. So I kind of have some AM4 experience, a little bit, but I haven't messed around with the X3D stuff. So that was all new to me, and it's kind of cool to see how it, like, everything stay in the cache when I game or whatever. Unfortunately, there's a downside, and we're gonna get into that. Kind of as a backstory, there's a myth, a legend for the 3D chips, and it even exists on the new system, the new 7000 series. There's something called the AM dip, patented by frame chasers. Doofus. The AM dip. I've lived through it, and it's here, and I have it. I'm not gonna try to get rid of it. There is no getting rid of it. It's just a lingering boulder on the back of all 3D chip gamers and normal AMD gamers as well for their CPUs. The AM dip, man. You're gonna see it firsthand, and it pains me, but that is the sacrifice we must make for the greater good. But yeah, all in all, very good build. Happy with having a capable PC. I need to work on getting a GPU next, and I don't know if I want to mess around with the fans and the colors and everything, because I really don't like the rainbow colors, like, at all. I like it to just be a flat color. So who knows? I might swap out the cooler for a different cooler that has adjustable fans or something else, because the cooler itself has its own RGB thing. So I might, I don't know. We'll see. I really just don't feel like messing around with it. I might just like leave it and just turn it around and not look at it. If you don't look at the rainbow colors, then they can't bother you. So might just kind of leave it there with that. So we're gonna see some benchmarks. Well, I say benchmarks lightly, but I did capture gameplay from this Ryzen build versus my Intel build that I had over a year and a half ago. It's not 1-to-1, but you get to kind of see the difference a little bit. And I even did like a little Borderlands 3 benchmark of their built-in benchmark of the 10100 i3. And as you can probably guess, the i3 is pretty slow. Like that's the i3 10100. That's what I'm coming from to this. So instantly all my games got an extra like 20 to 30 or more FPS out of the same GPU, same settings and everything, which is kind of wild that it was like that much of a like bottleneck. I guess I finally see the CPU bottleneck, I guess. But yeah, so you're gonna see some of that. I showed a lot of the build. It came with so before I go, MSI had this little brush that you could, I show the footage of it, but it has like this little MSI branded like little brush, little dust brush, little paint brush or whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. It also comes with like a little its own like keychain screws. Very cool. And it comes with its own USB stick. It's like a 16 gigabyte stick, and it has a little MSI logo on it. It's very like high quality. It feels like really good, like maybe brushed aluminum or something like that. Pretty good. Like I like the MSI finesse in their motherboard box. Pretty pretty classy. So this video is gonna be like 90 minutes long if I don't shut up and show you guys what you want to see, and that's the PC. So get subscribed, and I'll see you on the next one.